Hi guys, welcome back to Coffee Talk with Brandy. I am continuing to learn how to edit and do all of these things that have been really hard for me, but I am getting it slowly and surely. I'm going to eventually add the cool thumbnails and do all this cool stuff. It's taken me time to get there, and you know what? That's okay. Currently, right now, my life is really focused on my child, well, both of my children really, but I have a child whose health has just had a lot of challenges right now. So all of my time is really spent really trying to figure this out with one of my children. And today's video with John is talking about challenging behavior. So for the last 8 years prior to what I'm doing now and prior to, the last corporate job that I had, I was a peer support specialist who supported families who have children who experience emotional, mental, and behavioral challenges. We are hired off of lived experiences. We go through extensive training. There's so much to this work, and it's so rewarding. So I just want to give, a video out there. John and I explained a little bit of our own experiences and how we kind of had to shift our parenting style. So often we've lived in the adult imposed, you're going to do what I say because I'm the adult. And for many of our children, that doesn't work. And that was the case with my own child. My daughter experiences autism. She's autistic. And, she is the kindest, most loving, caring, compassionate, empathetic individual you'll ever know today. She has a heart of gold. And, there were things that were challenging when she was younger, as with any of our kiddos, right? Like, parenting is not easy. So the things that we learned, John and I, were really about how do we shift our perspective. Because so often when I taught collaborative problem solving for families, the hardest thing that I recognized when I was working alongside of parents was the fact that many of us adults never experience what it looks like to have empathy shown or role model to us. I grew up in the era of don't you disobey me. You need to be obedient. You need to be quiet. All of those kind of things which had created a culture of shaming and blaming and shutting down children. And so with the model of really role modeling empathy, it's coming alongside of our youth, our children, really anybody. Any challenging behavior that we see, that we experience, is a sign of an unmet need. So it's coming alongside of other people with the lens of empathy and curiosity, and giving us the space and giving them the space to, number one, feel seen and heard. That is the biggest thing that I have done as I've learned as a parent from shifting my anger and frustration that my child was not doing what I wanted them to do. And, their behavior was escalating, and without being able to really communicate the needs that my child had, my child couldn't communicate those needs. Not because she didn't want to, but in the moment when she was quite young, she didn't have the skills to verbally tell us. And that's with any one of us. If we have not grown up in an environment that was safe to, number one, be real with our emotions, we've been taught to shut down. And therefore behaviors exist. So if we can come alongside people when we see challenging behaviors with the lens of curiosity and empathy, we're going to start seeing a different world. And that's within ourselves. The reason why I talk a lot about self-awareness is because it really comes back down to ourselves. What is it within me that feels so angry that my child isn't doing what I want them to do? What is it within me that I'm so angry that my child is wearing SpongeBob pajamas to school? Because my daughter was happy, right? It comes down to being aware of who we are and how we're interacting with our own children. So some of the challenging behaviors that are happening really can be shifted when we stop to look within. So stay tuned. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, follow, come along on this journey. Coffee Talk with Brandy is all about self-awareness and fun, and really just having conversations that help us to grow as human beings in our emotional intelligence. So subscribe, hit that button, follow me, share my videos, come along. And without further ado, I'm going to, move along to the video that I have with John. Have a lovely day. See you guys soon. Bye. Phone's there. Well, welcome back to Coffee Talk with Brandy. I'm here again with my friend John, who had so much fun on the last episode. He wanted to come back, so he's back, and we're having some fun conversations. We just did a live on Facebook. If anybody wants to go check that out, it's Pursuing Confidence. Maybe I can put the link in here. I'm still learning all of this with YouTube, as you know that I'm still learning. And you know, it's funny because we went to do the live and then my phone kept falling and
we were all discombobulated. Right?
It's like the realness of it, and then I don't know how to edit, and I'm still learning to edit, so we'll see. Yeah, it works. Hopefully the microphone is loud enough. I've heard this is the new camera, as I've said, so I'm excited. I'm learning about it. And I've heard that like people say that your videos the sound has to be like on point.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I don't know either. I do have a microphone. My good friend David, who is a photographer, was checking it out and he said it seemed fine. But he said it sounded a little tinny when he was listening to a playback. So I don't know. Just bear with me if it's not 100% awesome. Like, I'm going to get there, okay? Like, that's just not...
Can you adjust the like levels and volume and bass, treble or whatever? Don't know.
I can't on here. We were trying to do it. But it is picking up the external mic. We did know that. Okay. But I don't know. He said in post-production I probably could. But again, I have to learn editing software, so yay!
Whole new animal to me.
You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn, apparently. We'll see. Anyway, coffee, it's getting cold. We've been drinking.
Chatting.
How was your week?
It was good. It was cold. Been really cold out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hits the pain pretty hard, but... The sun feels good.
The sun does feel good, but it is cold. It was like 20 this morning.
Yeah, I think it was 17 in our place. We're just a little by the river, so.
Oh, by the river.
Yeah, a little colder out there.
It is cold, and I don't do cold very well either.
Yeah. Since I've gotten older, yeah, it's no fun. I keep trying to convince Lori to move to Florida, but it's like it's too damn hot there.
I don't know, but it feels good. I have friends that are moving to Florida right now, so it's like a lot of people. It's funny. I've seen a lot of Florida plates here. Like, I think with COVID, people moved. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I'll have to look at, like, you know, Oregon's, what do you call that? When people, the population?
Yeah.
What's
Migration.
that word? Yeah. What's the hard word again? Population.
Migrating.
Right? But I heard kind of maybe it was on a radio show or something that, you know, the population has increased. So I don't know. I mean, it does seem busier these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, too.
Yeah.
Because we both grew up here, and it was like you could walk across Main Street and not have to really look. Now you gotta look going across any street.
Wow, it's like Frogger.
Yeah.
It's like level 10 of Frogger back in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
I love that game. That's so funny. I'm not a gamer. My kids are gamers.
Yeah, so am mine.
Yeah.
I get into it a little bit here and there, but not as much as they do. Fortnite is the big thing.
Yeah, my son doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he likes it now. He doesn't like that one as much, but you know, my son at 13 he built his own computer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm like, I don't know, it's amazing to me. Not my skill set, but he did a pretty good job because we had a computer guy who'd been doing my computer for years who came over and was like, hey, he did a really good job with this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he suggested like one or two little I don't know, changes, but my son has built his own gaming computer, so I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe he can just build computers for other people then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully my children will be successful so that I can retire.
Yeah. That's what we hope for.
Right?
All right, kids, grow up, be great, make us lots of money.
Right?
Help us out.
It's so true. Like, I just think I don't really have a retirement yet, which is sad because I'm scared.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I just don't, it's not that I don't want one, it's just that life has been hard.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
We're in the same boat. You know, Lori and I, we try to put money away, but it's, you know, medical bills and all that come up, and so it's like, all right, I'll take some out and pay off some bills or whatever. And
yeah.
have fun.
Try to talk louder, though. I don't know if I can hear you.
Okay. Don't worry.
No, that's okay. And I may be yelling. I don't know.
No.
I just remember, like, I guess I'm used to doing film and stuff, so I always remember to project my voice. And it might be too loud. I don't know.
I'm a soft talker as it is. And,
yeah.
you know,
Well, try to remember people need to hear you.
Keep more reserved.
Hello. Yeah. It's good. So we were talking about a lot of things before we came on camera, but one thing like I wanted to chat with John about on camera and for a coffee talk with Brandy is about like, we both have had different experiences as parents because we have children who are neurodivergent, right? Which is phenomenal. And I think there's a lot of neurodiversity out there. We have just not embraced it as a culture. Mm-hmm. It's been like, you think this way and this is just it. And now there's all this new information and we just know, like my daughter is autistic, so her brain thinks differently than mine. And quite honestly, all of our brains think differently than each other, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is a spectrum of, quote, typical, which is, we have all these rules of social engagement, of course, typical rules. But when you start to think outside that box is when you start to grow and recognize and just love people in general for all of the diversity that they bring around their thinking and all that stuff. And our kiddos have had just different behavioral challenges, right?
Oh yeah.
When mine was younger, I had to start learning a different parenting style because it wasn't working. The power out of, I call it, I had to take the power out of parenting. Mm-hmm. So help us understand, like, what has it been like for you before you had your enlightenment with becoming self-aware and aware of your own emotions and how it was affecting your children? Like, take us to what it was like as a parent and what were you parenting like before all of that?
I think it was more cut and dry. It was more my way, and this is how it's going to be. And having a child that's out of that realm of that and is fighting it nonstop just made me kind of step back and take a visual of how could I change that and make our lives better. And doing that was a night and day experience. It made both of our lives a little easier. It's still a fight every day with him, but it's a lot more easier for me to deal with than it was before.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is that key thing that creates it to be easier for you now versus prior?
It's opening up to him to seeing his emotions and his feelings and being able to adjust to kind of his attitude or what's going on with him at that moment. And being able to do that was great for both of us and all the way around, the whole family.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've grown up in this adult world of you're going to do what I say because I'm the adult and that's just it. Yeah. Right? That cut and dry, you will do what I say because I am the adult. And there's no room for curiosity. There's no room for understanding as even a child, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we forget just because we see and experience something that's going on, it doesn't mean that's what's really going on. Mm-hmm. So when I taught that class, the parenting class, I remember I would share this experience because it was so pivotal for me. When my daughter was younger, I'd have to constantly keep an eye on her because I worried about how she would interact with other kiddos. Like, I worried for safety because I didn't understand her behaviors.
Yeah.
And there was a time where we were in a meeting and there was a baby, and she was young, mind you. She was quite young. She was maybe 4 or 5, so still a young child. But I remember a child maybe 8 months to a year was crawling on a structure, and she went to kick the child off. Okay, so in that moment, my perspective is my child is mean.
Yeah.
We have these experiences that happen, right, as parents, and when we don't understand what's going on, we make up our own conclusions, right? Oh, and we have this, what a bad child. We hear that a lot. Children are blamed all the time. That's just a bad kid or blah, blah, blah. But when we start shifting the conversation to be curious, we're going to learn a lot more. Yeah. And, as my daughter grew older, I remember revisiting that scenario. And I said, hey, you know what? Can you help me understand? Do you remember this time? And explained, the situation. I said, why did you do that? And this sweet girl said to me, Mom, I didn't want that child to get hurt.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? So she was worried about this kiddo playing on a play structure. And I thought, you're such a mean little child. Why did you kick that baby off? But when you are a child or a person who might not be able to express what's going on in your mind, the words may not be your first, language, and you can't tell people, right?
Yeah.
Behavior happens. So just keep in mind that perspectives can be a lot different if we cultivate the ability to be curiosity with our children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like actions speak louder than words, and that's what I've worked with Noah over the years too. It's like, okay, your actions are saying a lot, and that's kind of where I went back, and I'm like, okay, I gotta step back and I gotta combine the two. Okay, well, what does he need? Yeah, he's acting out, but what kind of emotion should I use to help diffuse that situation? And it's hard to do. It's hard to figure out, and we're still working on it. And I'm sure you are too.
Oh yeah.
Every day is different, and personalities, and
Yeah. Well, in my last video, we talked about anger a little bit. And so do you respond or do you react? And it sounds to me like you're now responding.
I'm responding, yeah.
Yeah.
There's still times I react, but it's a lot fewer before where I'm just angry. I'd get frustrated and angry and be in pain and just lashing out. And it wasn't working. And so stepping back and going, okay, well, different perspective on what's going on. Let's do it in a little different way. And he's blossomed out in an amazing way. And I don't think he'd be there if I hadn't done that and following up with that,
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that you said that you recognized this wasn't working.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, wait a minute, this isn't working. What can I do differently? Because it is on us as adults. What can we do differently? Because we're the ones leading our children.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. And I like the fact that I still I still react at times. So let's talk about reacting and responding. Reacting is you react emotionally in that moment. Like without thought, you react to a situation. Just like a kid who the ball goes out in the street, you're going to react right away for safety.
Yeah.
However, learning to respond shows that you're gaining an emotional intelligence because you're recognizing, wait a minute, there's a situation going on here. Before I react in anger, I'm going to take a deep breath and think about what's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's huge. It is so empowering to be able to respond to situations instead of reacting.
Yeah.
And it's growth. And it doesn't mean, like you said, we're all imperfect. I react too. It's like, I'm not just like, I'm this super evolved person. I'm just aware of it. And when we bring out these topics to Coffee Talk with Brandy, it's like bringing out the fact that there is room for growth, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So this is funny. I'm looking at my battery. Does my battery still working, right? It says still recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't mind me. I know my battery's getting low. And so, I didn't know if it was just going to shut off abruptly. But again, the laughter of really just trying to figure it all out. See, we're all trying to figure it out. You know, you have like those people, like you think somebody has it all together, right? But they really don't. Like,
no.
People always assume like, oh my God, I just thought you just like knew and had everything all together. And I'm like, no, like
they gotta go through and figure it out too.
Yeah. Life is hard.
Yeah.
The ups and downs, being a parent is hard.
Yeah.
Being a stay-at-home dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that shift from what it was like emotionally for you to have to be a stay-at-home dad.
It was night and day difference. I guess it took a while for me to realize it. The experience that I've had with my boys has been amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I love watching them grow every day, and I can't believe how fast it's gone by too. It's just thinking of how we were talking earlier about Logan being almost 6 feet tall at 13 now, and he was just this little baby and called him Scooter Bug, and he just run around on the floor. But he's growing up so fast, and that's changed so much. But I've been so much of that every day. It's awesome. Yeah, and I've loved every second of it. Even the hard times, it's maybe who I am now. It's making me a better person, making me want to be a better father.
Yeah.
it's been tough. I mean, like I say, it's the hardest job I've ever had to do, and I've had pretty hard jobs. I've been, worked construction and doing all that, and we had a pawn shop for a little while, and that was emotionally draining. But still, that was nothing compared to what dealing with kids every day, and especially a kiddo that's difficult to deal with. And fighting with you every day, you say one thing and they don't do the opposite of what you're trying to get them to do or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think in the live, you just summed it up really well, because we did talk about that in the live, about how this is the hardest job you've ever done, is being a stay-at-home dad. Mm-hmm. And you've done a lot of physical labor. You did construction. Mm-hmm. What else have you done? Welding?
Welding, yeah, I've done
welding.
Well drilling, did that.
Well drilling too.
Yeah.
Wow. So, we have this perspective of men in our culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like providers. The men are going to provide monetarily, and as a home, they're going to put food on the table. But the world is shifting to know that men also need to provide emotionally and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you have shared so beautifully in the live video about that shift, because you did say it was and is the hardest job you've ever had to do. And as we talked a little bit about it in the live video, that shift was from being just the physical labor of providing to now being a provider of emotional, mental well-being.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
You got to be your own psychologist. You got to figure out day to day what's going on with that kid and yourself, or those kids and yourself. And it's not easy, especially if you're having difficulties with your mind and your body, and then add two other people that you're trying to shape and mold into a better version of yourself. It's quite a task.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on top of that, there's, let's see, one kid is at one school, another kid's at another school. You got to take one from A to B. I mean, you are a taxi driver, you're, the grocery shopper, I mean, all of those things. And it's exhausting. And on top of that, I'm a single mom, so I'm doing all of that plus, trying to earn income and all of that stuff. And it's just exhausting. And I think, what would it look like if we just hold space for everyone? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody's doing something difficult and hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do the best you can do, and, have more of a positive mind of...
Yeah.
Of life, I guess.
Yeah, it's that shift, right?
Yeah.
It's that, we were talking a little bit, and I don't think we need to do it in this video, but I mean, if you want to know more about the discussion we had on depression, go to the live video on pursuing confidence. But it's like, it's sometimes we lose ourselves in our roles. Like, you lost yourself a little bit at some point in your life. When did you felt you lost who you were?
I think it was probably, dealing with a back injury, and I lost a lot of who I was. And then fighting with a child that's very oppositional, I even lost more of myself because I wanted to fix that situation and cater to that situation. And but just trying to grow from there, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and I really like how you just said you wanted to fix that situation, because so often when we see a situation, whether it's with our kiddos or with, our spouses or with friends, when we have that perspective, oftentimes what we might not realize is that's a projection of our own inner need.
Yeah.
And so, and so it's like you were wanting to fix that situation. Mm-hmm. But what I've also heard you say is, I've worked on myself. I now feel back to who I was a little bit more. You're still working on it.
Yeah.
But because you've taken that time to be with who you are, you're able to respond in different ways to your own children, and that growth has happened.
Yeah. And it's an eye-opening experience. Yeah. And, it's amazing just to sit there and watch the kids grow up, and to know that you've been a part of that, and that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to learn from those mistakes and be a better parent.
Yeah. Is there, before we wrap up, excuse me, what would you say to any men out there who might happen to come across this video and seeing you share your story. Do you have any like advice or any just kind of words of wisdom for other men who might be struggling to like be with their own selves?
Keep an open mind, you know, just don't react right away. Maybe take a step back and think about it, or try a different venue, try a different emotion, try different things. And that's kind of where I was at, was like, all right, this isn't working. I have to step back. I have to use the toolbox, you know, per se, what we were talking about, is different emotions. And I would say, you know, run with that, or step out of your realm and get the help that can guide you in that, you know, that way. Where we went and did the parenting class with you, and it was amazing. We learned a lot. We learned how to deal with certain situations, so it was okay to step out of that comfort zone of being the dad and just cut and dry, where I didn't have to be cut and dry. I could step out and go, okay, what emotion do I want to use with this guy?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just you can get out there and get help.
Yeah.
It's out there. You just gotta search and
right.
Be open minded. Yeah.
Right. Well, and help can be in so many ways. Like, again, Coffee Talk with Brandy is kind of there. You're welcome to reach out to me. Peer support, if you don't feel like you want to see a therapist, peers are amazing. We can go to coffee and just have fun and hold space, which is, you don't realize how helpful it is to be in the presence of somebody who knows how to listen and validate without giving advice.
Yeah.
And just hold that space of, gosh, that sounds really hard. Like, how can I support you? Or even reflecting back to that question that you and I have talked about, what is it that I want?
Yeah.
That's so helpful.
Yeah.
That is such a question. It's like $1 million question to me. I say that a lot.
Yeah. But it is. It's like you say, it's definitely a eye-opening experience. What do I want? What do I need? What's going to better my family and my friends and the situation we're in?
Yeah.
So.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a beautiful day, Coffee Talkers. We are going to sign off because we're going to go do other things, eat lunch, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Potatoes in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's really parenting time. My kiddos need to come home from school soon, all that jazz. So anyway, have a beautiful Tuesday, and we will be back again. Bye.
Bye.